Hello, everyone's Forest Focus as we meet a former Nottingham Forest prospect who played in the FA Youth Cup final against Manchester United before moving on this summer after his career was set back by a broken leg. It's great to welcome former Reds B team midfielder Sam Collins as we learn about coming through the academy, being released and looking to take the next step in his career with a new club. Sam, how are you this evening?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this chat. So yeah, all good, thank you.
Great stuff. We'll go through your career, what you're up to now. Probably with something like this, it's probably good just to start from the beginning. I mean, you're 21 now, and you were with Forest for 10 years from a 10-year-old. Is that right?
14 years. I was there since I was 7.
Wow.
14.
How did that come about then?
So I was playing for my local team in Leicester, Gruby Juniors. I was actually a right winger back when I was younger, and had a few clubs from the Midlands interested. I think it was Leicester, Derby, Burton, Aston Villa as well. But I went with Nottingham Forest just because the feel that I got straight away from the place, the environment was such a good feel. I tried a few of those other clubs out and it just wasn't quite the same. And I just felt at home, Nottingham Forest. And I remember a man called Russell. He's not there anymore. He was very interested. He rang my dad and said, "We want to take him. We've been impressed by his trials. We want to take him." And yeah, so 14 years later, here I am. So yeah, I was 7 years old when I started. Yeah.
You from a football family or not?
I am. Yeah, to be fair. Well, not. My dad played for like his district team back in the day. But no, he's football man. My dad is. He absolutely loves it. He's always going to every game that he can of mine and trying to critique or praise little things. So yeah, he's massive on it, but he didn't really play at a high level himself now.
And I know where Gruby is. Are you from a family of Leicester fans then?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Well, my dad's a huge Leicester fan. Mum's a big Liverpool fan, so it's kind of a bit of a split, really. But I just try and stay mutual if I can.
Good stuff. I'll ask you about the FA Youth Cup final because I imagine that was the big highlight from the time there because it's such a big attendance. But what other things stand out to you from your time with Forest? Because we will talk about some bad stuff. I want to talk about the good stuff as well.
Yeah,
so what was the good stuff?
There's loads, to be fair. I was lucky to be part of a really good couple of age groups. So in the under-13s, we had a really good team. We had Tom Mallinson as our coach and Marlon Harewood as well, actually. So we got to numerous semi-finals and quarter-finals. So that was a great season. But yeah, the main one's got to be the Youth Cup. Do you know what? I just loved every minute of it, really. Even when I went through a bit of a tough patch, I think I had growing pains and growing issues when I was maybe 14, 15. But I still loved it, and I still just tried to develop every single day. And yeah, I could handpick loads of good moments, but I'd probably say that under 13 season before the big year when I was 18, 19, that was the main year for me.
How's it work being in the academy? Because I've spoken to Andy Reid, Chris Cohen, Chris McGuane, Chris Brass, lots of people connected on the coaching side. But from the playing side, what's it look like? Kind of, you go there after school, do you? You train on Saturdays, you play on Sundays. I don't even know how it works. Can you explain to listeners how it works?
Yeah, of course. So when you become, I think it's 13, you enter something called day release, which is optional, but it's kind of advised that you take it, really. And that's 3 times a week. The club will hire a minivan, or just someone from the club will drive out and pick maybe 3 or 4 players up from different areas. So you'll have your Midlands and then further out. And then that will start around about lunchtime. So obviously you've got to get permission from your school to do that. But my school was very good. They always allowed me to do it. They were flexible with it. And yeah, so it's a long day. I'm not going to lie to you. You start from about 1 o'clock at Forest and you finish at 9, 9:30. And that's 3 times a week, plus a couple of additional sessions. That's when it really starts to bump up. But again, I loved it. But yeah, so you'll have training as soon as you get there with lunch and stuff. Then you'll do education at the club next to the ground for a couple of hours. Then you'll head back to the academy after to either play an evening game against maybe like a local team a couple of years up from you, or a fellow academy team, or train. And you'll have gym as well. It's a full-time thing, and it's I think it's great because it kind of gives you an idea early of how tough being a professional is, and the sacrifice that you're required to have to give to become a professional footballer.
Yeah, I mean, I have spoke to Lewis McGugan obviously is a big regular on this podcast. I don't know if you remember Jake Taylor, who went to Port Vale.
I do, yeah.
He was on it, and probably around the same circumstances as you. And I can't remember if he lived in Diggs or not. I'm guessing you didn't, but they both spoke about the sacrifices you have to make. I guess there's no not going out with your mates on a Friday night and if they're not going to make it. Was there a lot? Are there a lot of sacrifice for you already?
Yeah, 100%. That's not a myth, by the way. You know, when people say you can't go to like the parties and whatever it might be, you know, the birthdays or family meals or events, that really is true. That you miss so many, even when you're 14, 15, 16. I actually was in Diggs, to be fair, because it was about a 45-minute drive. And obviously, I wasn't driving at the time when I first became a scholar. So I lived in Diggs for 2 years. Really nice family. The lady was called Rachel. The daughter was called Lillian. And yeah, it was fantastic. Being kind of a scholar and getting to know all of that. But yeah, the sacrifices are just, to be fair, I think they're off the scales, really. People don't quite understand it, I don't think, even at such a young age, the sacrifices that a footballer has to make. But that's just part of it. And if you want to become a footballer, then you just kind of got to deal with that, I suppose.
I suppose as well, in the back of your mind through all this is, I don't know how you see it, because you read all the articles on it. I think it's 1 in 200 make it to either the top level or the pro game. I guess that's in the back of your mind all the time. But do you, as an athlete, always back yourself and think, I'm going to make it or not?
I think you've got to be honest. I think even in recent years when the club are doing so well, myself, you're still trying to have that little bit of hope and believe that somehow there's a path for you. Maybe it's a bit deluded or, you know, biased towards yourself, but yeah, I think you have to think like that. Otherwise, who is going to think like that for you? And yeah, I've always been someone that's believed that I'm going to do well. I'm sure we'll get to it soon, but I still am, even though I've taken, you know, a couple of leagues down, whatever. I still believe I can get to a really high level. But yeah, I think you have to, otherwise no one's going to believe that for you.
Let's talk about the Youth Cup final then, because I guess that, as you said, it was the highlight at Old Trafford against Man United, 60,000 plus people, May 2022, so just over 3 years ago. You lost 3-1, but the goal scorers, Garnacho got 2 of them, Kobbie Mainoo played. There are a few other names in that United team. Forest had Zach Abbott in the side and a few lads who've gone out on loan this summer. Just talk to us about that experience of actually playing in that game, first of all.
Unbelievable, honestly. Probably my favourite ever moment I've ever had in football. Just to have, I think it was 69,000 people at the game. Unbelievable. I'm trying to remember. I think I might have been 17 or 18. Yeah, it was a second year scholar, so I would have been 17. But at such a young age to be part of that was unbelievable. But to be fair, there were unbelievable moments before that. We had Blackburn away at Ewood Park, a great 3-1 win. They were one of the best teams in England at the time, so we were massive underdogs in that game. We had Chelsea in the semi-final at home at the City Ground with about, I think, maybe 9 or 10,000 people there. That was incredible. We were actually 1-0 down in that game with about 4 or 5 minutes to go. We ended up winning 3-1. Unbelievable. And then, I felt we just earned it. We had a great season. Got to Old Trafford, and it just kind of, got to the game at Old Trafford, and it kind of went from 10 to 20, and you're kind of reading it in the papers and thinking, what is going on here? And suddenly you heard it was pretty much sold out. Walking out of that stadium, honestly, I'll never forget the goosebumps I had. And I think the main thing was just the togetherness of the group, whether we won or lost. Obviously, the aim was to win. Of course it was. We believed we'd win, but we just stuck together and just kind of relished how much of an incredible opportunity it was for us. And I still feel, I'm not going to lie to you, I still kind of, it's still the fact we lost, because I still feel another day that we win that game. We had such a good year, and I feel it was a roll of the dice, really. I think it was a poor referee decision and just a mistake from one of our lads at the end that cost us the game. But even myself, I came off at 65 minutes with a calf injury that I'd been carrying for a few weeks before the game, really. And that hurts me loads because they then scored the 2 late goals. But yeah, an incredible experience, one I'll never forget. And just unbelievable feeling that was.
I suppose the big question I would say is, could you take it in? You're so young, you got such a goal on your mind of winning the game, and then it has been the next step in the big grand goal. When you're so young, can you take in the moment, or does it wash you over in a sense?
It is hard. It's really hard to take in the moment. I'm not going to lie to you, just because you just kind of you're that focused about the game and the result and wanting to do well. You put that all aside. Of course, you hear the noise, and of course the actual environment of it and how big of a thing it was. You're aware of it. Of course, you are. You go from playing in front of tens to suddenly thousands. It's mental. But no, to be honest with you, I did try to put it aside. But after, you do reflect and realise how incredible it was.
Did you feel at that point in the best place you'd been career-wise? I think you were either by then the under-21s captain, or you were soon going to be, and things like that.
Yeah.
And it seemed like things were going very well for you at that point. Then,
Yeah, that season was the start of a really good 2.5, 3 years for me. I was playing every single game in that season. I like to think I was one of the kind of the main players and a key player for us in that team. As you said, the season after, Warren Joyce actually came into the 21s as well, just a couple of months after that season, even though he was going to stay with under 18s, because I'm sure you're aware, obviously, but Steve Cooper hired Andy Reid as part of his staff. So Andy Reid left the 21s. So Warren Joyce took that role. And obviously, I think he was quite a fan of me after that season. So he instantly put me into the starting 11, and I played pretty much every game that year as well. And then you're spot on. Yeah, the season after that, I was under a few times, not loads, but a few times, because we had Jamie McDonnell, who was a great leader as well, and he's just gone on loan, hasn't he, to Mansfield. He was captain sometimes, but then it would be me if he wasn't playing, or for like different reasons. But yeah, that 3 years, like you said, that was my best time in a Forest shirt. I felt really good. I played regularly. I was contributing to the team offensively, defensively, and yeah, I loved it at that period. Yeah.
We'll carry on talking about Sam's Forest career shortly, but just before we do that, a word for Trent Navigation. The final Lions test is on the 2nd of August, so you can see if they've wrapped up the series by then, or if they need to, just when this comes out as we record it. 10 a.m, get your breakfast there, get your Guinness there, and enjoy the day. And thanks as ever to the Nav for their support. It seems like things are going well for you. Then you break your leg at Carlisle. I'll ask you a little bit about it. For people who aren't aware, Forest are playing an EFL trophy game. They were 2-0 up with a couple of minutes to go, and Sam broke his leg in a tackle with a player called Owen Moxon. I've got quotes from Paul Simpson, the manager, here. I don't know if you've read these or not. I don't think either of them tried to do anything to each other. They've both just gone in full blood. It was a tackle where I was thinking, no, don't go for it, just back out. Mox said he couldn't back out at that point, but I told him at 2-0 down with 2 minutes to go, you do pull out of those sort of challenges. Unfortunately, the leg-breaking tackles, and one person's come out of it on the bad side of that. How do you reflect on that then, and that moment? Can you talk us through just talk us through the incident first of all? I'll ask you a few questions from there.
Yeah, of course. To keep it quite simple, I knew straight away something was really, really bad. You know, when you just know, and that few seconds after was absolutely awful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I just knew something wasn't right. People have described how it looked to me as well, which I won't go into detail. But yeah, the actual incident itself, I've tried to put to the back of my mind, of course I have, but it'll always kind of haunt me a little bit, to be honest, because it was so, unnatural and nasty to be a part of, and just the weeks and weeks and months that past that period were awful for me. But yeah, that night was not the funny thing is, actually, I was playing really well. I was playing out of my skin, to be fair. I was one of the kind of best players on the pitch that night. It's just such bad timing in general. But yeah, a really, really horrible incident to happen to me. Yeah.
I suppose I should ask you, based on the quotes, if you're angry at Owen Moxon, or was it just a football incident?
No, not at all. Me and him spoke after, to be fair. He was really good. What I will say is, a few of their players before that were kind of being a bit physical and unnecessarily physical, probably because they wound up we were winning, to be fair. But no, I don't hold any grudges towards him or anything like that. No, I think that would be silly and a bit bitter to do that.
How much of an impact, which sounds like it had a big impact on you physically and mentally? I mean, how long were you out for before you got back?
I think I didn't run again for a good, trying to think here, 7 or 8 months. But in terms of actually being back and feeling back to how I properly was and feeling good, near on a year, to be fair. A good 10 or 11 months, I think.
How did it work for you mentally then? Because you're a young man and you are driven, but you need support around you. What kind of support are you getting at that point?
Really good, to be fair. Really, really good. Couldn't fault the club at all. The psychologist, TC, Tom, he was fantastic with me, constantly checking in. So was Alex Bailey. There were some people at the club really, really good with me. Just without going into too much kind of detail and making it longer than it used to be, I was spent 4 or 5 days in Carlisle Hospital because there was no beds in Leicester or Nottingham. So you have like 80, 90-year-old men in the ward with you. It was just a surreal experience, really. And then you kind of go home, you're in a 4-leg cast for a month, so you can't get out of bed. You've got to hop everywhere on one leg to the toilet to get some food, which obviously always had to be upstairs, whatever it might be. Then I was in a short leg cast for 4 or 5 weeks again, which is just as hard. But I started going back into Forest then just to do kind of weights and just see the lads. But yeah, the whole process was just so long. It really was. It felt like years and years and years. And to be honest, I could just, I think the best way to put it is when I came back properly 10, 11 months after, I just felt so far away. Not in a kind of negative way that I thought I'd never get back, but just like, whoa, like this feels like it's been a long time. It just kind of felt like I'd been passed by a little bit, which again, I hold no grudges about. I completely understand it. It was such a long time out, but it just didn't feel the same when I got back. I don't think after that long-term injury.
When you say you've been passed by, you mean like players had improved, and also you're out of that dressing room environment, and lads, different
exactly
bonds
that.
have been formed, even, and all that. You mean
exactly that? And what we'll say as well is, I think people might underestimate when you're actually injured. It's just as hard, I think, being away from the lads constantly than actually playing. Of course, you're missing playing so much, but being in at different times to the lads, hardly seeing them, not travelling for their games, not going to their team events because you can't, because you're in a 4-leg cast, just things like that. I think that's the most difficult part. So yeah, it just felt like on and off the pitch, not intentionally really, but I just kind of been passed by a little bit, and that's just natural. I was 20, nearly 21 at the time. There were players that needed minutes to show what they can do at that age group. To be honest, the plan was, I think, for me to go out on loan anyway. Literally a couple of months after that injury, I was at that point, and I think I had a few clubs circulating me, and but yeah, I'd just say that it kind of just felt a bit different when I got back, and I just kind of knew that's probably my time at Forest potentially done. I think
they gave you another year, didn't they? I think they gave you another contract.
they did. They were great with that. They said as soon as I got the injury that I'd have another year to kind of prove myself, and just kind of it's. I suppose it is fair to be fair because I only played 2 or 3 months of the season. But even so, you kind of just have a feeling, don't you? And I think at my age, it was always going to happen, the conversation, which I'm sure we'll get onto soon, about it coming to an end. And I kind of thought that year would probably be my last year, as it was, to be fair, for some of the other lads as well.
That must have been a tough year then. If you feel like you're swimming against the tide all the time, and you want to give your best, but you had that momentum and everything around the Old Trafford and the game, and later that was a tough year for you, even though you were playing.
Yeah, last year was absolutely. I'll put it simply. It was awful for me. It was a horrible year because it takes you a few months to get feeling right. Then you have a few niggles because you're getting used to being back out there again properly. So you're getting hamstring issues and calf issues, and it's just not like me. I don't like missing things with injuries and stuff. And then the club's got different plans for you, try and ease you back in. Some people at the club potentially might want to get you in as fast as they can to play games. It's all different kind of theories and opinions, and that's just how football is. But yeah, it was an awful year for me. For the last 5-6 months of the season, I was completely fit, but for different reasons, which I won't really touch on. And I kind of get it. Of course I did. The club decided that it's best if I kind of take a bit of a backseat role and look at my options ahead of the summer kind of thing, and just support the lads, which I think I did really well. I think I was a really good, cheerleader, if you like, and I thought I was a good kind of role model and leader in that captain off the pitch, and trying to help the lads achieve great things, which they did. They won the Premier League International Cup, which is a great achievement. So yeah, it was nice to end on that, even though it wasn't really a big part of it. Of course, it was really nice to end my Forest kind of career on that.
Did that final conversation then, I don't know who it was with, but did it come almost as a relief by the sound of it, or not?
I think so. I think it was just like a massive weight off my shoulders. Like, yeah, we're kind of both on the same page here. And I grew to absolutely love Nottingham Forest. And I'm not going to lie, I was gutted that I couldn't ever play for the first team. I trained with them quite a lot, especially under the previous manager, Steve Cooper. I was starting to train with them quite a regular amount. But I'd say it was a mix of, I wasn't really shocked because I understood it. I completely understood it at my age, and I wanted to kind of get out and play men's football, which I'm loving to do now. It was kind of a mix of, wow, this is really happening, and also, like you say, relief. Yeah, just that it's kind of come to a conclusion, and in a few months' time, I can finally assess my next options and start a new challenge.
What was this, off on a tangent side? What was it like training with the first team? Was it an eye opener or not?
Unbelievable, yeah. An eye opener, yeah. Just the speed of things, the intensity, the quality. It's just surreal. Like, a few years ago, you're a ball boy at games, or you're playing FIFA with some of these players, and then you train with them. It's unbelievable. Some of the names that are in there as well, like in terms of you got your Lingards and Origis and Felipes, people that have achieved massive things in the game, like really, really big names. You're training with them, it just felt surreal. But absolutely, Hudson Odoi, I've gone for ages. Gibbs White, massive, massive player. So it was incredible training with them. I'm so grateful I got to do that. That was always my aim really when I was younger. At least get to train with the first team. When I started to get to a good level at Forest, that was always what I wanted to do. So I'm so happy I got to do that. Obviously, as I said, I'm a bit gutted I didn't get to play in a match or really get given a chance to show that I can do it at that level. But again, that's just part of it. And yeah, it was an eye opener for sure. It was incredible training with the first team.
Did it show you the standard, not just technically, but just everything about it that is just a different world in a sense, Premier League first team?
Yeah. The main thing it showed me, of course, the standard and intensity was incredible. And some of the players, some of the things they were doing, I was thinking, what on earth's going on here? But the main thing it showed me was they're all just human beings, and you don't really realise that until you're there. They're just all exactly the same as you. Some of them are young men, some of them are old men, but they're just all men that just enjoy playing football, want to do well on a weekend and win matches, and that's just how they are, and that's just their lives. And it's pretty surreal when you see that like live, that they're just kind of normal human beings. Of course, they are, but when you actually see it and just realise they're just really humble, nice, hardworking men that you're training with, that's when it's pretty crazy, because a lot of people have this stigma, don't they, that professional footballers are different and kind of like super and whatever, but they're just normal people, and that's what I kind of was most wowed about, really.
Last one on this before we move on to you're playing for now. Which player had the most kind of like, oh my god, that's unbelievable moments for you?
I've got to say Gibbs White, to be honest. Some of the things he was doing, I know there's obviously a bit of controversy going around him at the moment, but he is an unbelievable player. And no matter whether it's a Forest or somewhere else, obviously we hope it's a Forest, he's going to achieve great things. Because, yeah, honestly, some of the things he was doing, like the flicks and just the raw pace he had and the explosion, and he's very strong as well for his size. He's good with the lads as well. He was good with me and some of the other lads. The best one in terms of being great with the lads has got to be Ryan Yates. I've got to say that just quickly, because even when I was 14, 15, 16, he'd message me a lot trying to give me tips, and I'd try and send him video clips, and he'd show me how I can improve. I'm really close with Yatesy, to be fair. We message quite a lot, and he's fantastic. So, but yeah, in terms of actual raw talent, I was thinking this is incredible. It's got to be Morgan Gibbs White.
Yeah, he's been on here, Ryan Yates, Harry Toffolo, and I think one of the main takeaways that you take away from it is that they're just nice blokes, and I think it's easy to forget that when you see them, making good money, obviously, and playing at the very top. So, yeah, it's good that you say that. Let's talk about what you're up to now. Then you've signed with Kings Lynn Town, who are full time. Are they National League North? Is that right?
Yeah.
How did that come about then?
So, as I said, without going too much back, I did have a fair few options before I got injured, League One and League Two clubs. I was always aware that it'd be tough for that to happen when I obviously came into this summer because of a lack of game time and obviously the big injury. I had a couple of League Two teams interested, National League teams, some teams from Scotland. There's a few, but it just felt right, and Kings Lynn seemed really motivated and keen to sign me. And that's always a big thing as a player. Some of the other clubs were interested, kind of offering out trials, but didn't really seem like they were desperate to make it happen. And as a player, you want to feel loved and you want to feel like you're appreciated. And Kings Lynn gave me that. They've got massive goals. We want to be at the forefront of the league this season. And I can already see after a few weeks training, and even the other day's result against Peterborough, who pretty much played a full side, League One. We drew the game and we could have won the game definitely on another day. So yeah, it's going really well, and I just feel it was the right thing to do, and that's why I chose there. It came about because the under-18s assistant coach at Nottingham Forest, Sam Darlow, who I've got a good relationship with, I think he knows someone. To be honest, I'm not sure who or how, but he knows someone at Kings Lynn. He's not far from here, so he sorted the move out for me. But yeah, it's been incredible so far. The Peterborough game the other day, I actually got man of the match and got an assist. So it was an incredible start at home in front of the fans. So long may that continue. But yeah, that's how the move came about.
Good stuff. I mean, it sounds obvious, but then the aim is this is taking one step down to take 2 or 3 steps up to ultimately make it in the Football League then for you.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to see the club as a stepping stone or anything like that, but that is, of course, the aim. I've still got, as I said to you earlier, big ambitions. I still believe I can play at a high level, where I was on track to get to, I believe, before the injury. So that's not changed. hopefully we can go up this season with the club and I can keep progressing with them. But wherever it might be, I just want to play at the highest level possible. I'm always someone that wants to keep on improving and pushing myself, and I just don't want to be someone that didn't get the best out of their career they could have. So yeah, that is the aim, of course it is. And in a few years' time, I hope to be playing back at a very good level.
Yeah, I suppose that must be the big thing for you, because you see, obviously Zach Abbott signed his contract. There's a lot of lads gone out on loan to Mansfield, and I suppose from your point of view, all you can do is give it your best shot. And if it doesn't work out, then you leave with your head held high, don't you? No matter what happens.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and nothing but pleased for the lads as well. People might think, someone in my position could be bitter that they've got maybe on paper better moves than you and stuff, and you're in a similar boat to them. But nothing but pleased for them. They're all great lads. I was honestly part of a great change room there. All the lads that are going out on loan or leaving the club permanently, like Jack Perkins and Jack Nadine, great lads, and you're just buzzing for them that hopefully they can take that next step in their career like myself. So yeah, that's the aim, to be playing at a similar club, if not a better club than them guys in a couple of years, but hopefully catch them back up. But yeah, just happy that we can all kind of achieve our goals now in our own independent careers.
I take it you're fully recovered then, leg-wise, physically, everything's back to 100%.
Yeah, fully recovered. As I said, it took a while though. It did take a while. I remember playing a friendly game, maybe last summer, about a year from now, and it still didn't feel right then. And that had been about 8 or 9 months. And I remember the manager thinking, he didn't tell me until a few months after when I was back to like my best and feeling good. But he said he worried about me, and I actually found out all the physios worried about me that I'd never play again, because I was actually running with a limp out on the grass for a good 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, it was really touch and go. I didn't have surgery on the leg because I was advised not to. Happy I made that decision in the end, because in the long term that's probably the best thing I could have done. But yeah, it took a long time getting the leg right. But yeah, now fully recovered, not felt anything in a good, well, since about nearly a year ago, since that day kind of thing. It's kind of got a lot better since then. So onwards and upwards, I think.
I suppose we always talk about these things. A player has a bad injury. We were talking about Taiwo the other day, actually, coming back, which was fantastic. And someone went through the back of him, and I said, oh, that's a good thing. When you go in for that first 50-50 and come out of it unscathed, is that one of the boxes ticked for you?
Yeah, 100%. I was anxious about that first tackle. I was. It plays in your mind, because that's how you got injured. And the players that get injured in a certain way, they always fear that exact same way of getting injured. But yeah, I came out of it unscathed. I actually remember it because it was such a big deal to me. It was in training, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I can keep doing that. And even the other day, I'm clattering into people. That's my game though. I really like smashing into tackles, and I'm not going to stop that. My dad sometimes winces a little bit. He's not very happy that I still do that, but it's about just not being silly. It's about just, when you can win the ball. And yeah, I'm fully over that now, and I don't. But the first time, you're right. I was a little bit anxious about that.
Well, you'll be able to put a few in non-league if it hasn't changed. My first job was covering. I used to cover non-league for 5 or 6 years, and in some senses, it's the absolute wild west of football. But I tell you, the fans are great. They were great games to watch. So yeah, we certainly wish you well on that front. Any final words? Anything you want to add before we let you go?
No, I don't think so. Thanks very much for letting me share kind of my journey with Forest. It's been good talking to you, Matt, and hopefully Forest can have another good season. I'm still a massive fan. I still follow all the games, and I really appreciate the chat. Thank you.
Don't tell your dad you're a massive fan.
I
If you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe. Do consider membership or Patreon. If you're a member, you'll have early access to this conversation, or just give us a lovely 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. We shall be back. I'm not sure when this is coming out. We might have our live show, which we'll put out either tomorrow, or if not, we'll have something good for you soon, I'm sure. So if we don't see you then, we shall see you soon.